The most sophisticated lie a government can tell is the one where it is simultaneously the problem and the solution. You have worked 12 years in the dark, 12 years of following money that doesn't want to be found, 12 years of sitting across from men who discuss human lives the way other men discuss weather, casually, without looking up. 12 years of filing reports that became operations that became numbers in briefings held in rooms where the air itself feels classified. In 12 years, you have never once believed the mission was clean. Until this one. That is the thing about hope. It doesn't knock. It doesn't announce itself. It just arrives one morning, wearing the face of a case that finally makes sense. A clear harm, a clear enemy, a clear purpose. And by the time you recognize it for what it is, it has already made itself at home in your chest. And you already know what happens to things that make themselves at home in you. The briefing room has no windows. Of course it doesn't. The case officer is a woman named Strand. Tall. Still. The kind of still that takes years to learn and costs something to maintain. She pulls up a map of Southeast Asia, Thailand-centered, border regions marked in a color that can't decide if it's orange or red. White line, she says. Joint Task Force, Counter-Trafficking Framework, 18 months of signals and financial intelligence. She pauses, not for effect, for something else. We have the architecture of a network moving between 400 and 600 individuals annually through Thailand's northern corridor, into Bangkok. From Bangkok into regional and international markets. The room is quiet. Intelligence professionals are not a quiet group. Today they are. These are people, Strand says. Not a clarification, a decision. Not cargo, not units, not throughput. People, predominantly women and girls, recruited through fake job offers or taken directly. You look at the map, a red-orange corridor along the northern border, lines moving south, like the MRT Red Line in Singapore. We have the map. We don't have the money. Without the money, we disrupt the physical network, and it rebuilds in a week. We need someone inside the financing layer. She looks at you. Your cover, program coordinator for the Mekong Bridge Initiative, 2 years of documented history, real office, real staff who believe in it entirely. How long? You say. Until you have the architecture, or until the cover breaks, whichever comes first. For the first time in 12 years, you don't feel the familiar ambiguity pressing against your chest. There is no ambiguity here. There is only a harm that needs dismantling and a woman who knows how to dismantle it. You say yes, feeling the weight of responsibility, but you see the light at the end of the tunnel. That is the hope. Already inside you. Already doing its work. Chiang Mai is beautiful, enough to almost make you forget the horror that is running through it. You expected something that looked like the work. Something gray, procedural, honest about what it contains. Instead, mountains in the distance, temples catching the late light, markets that smell of lemongrass and charcoal, a city that has learned, over centuries, to wear its surface with absolute conviction. The network learned from the city. The NGO office is a rented shophouse on a quiet street. 2 local staff who believe in the Mekong Bridge Initiative completely. Because it is a real organization that has done real work for 2 years. Flood relief, school supplies, community health surveys along the northern corridor. You will do all of this. Genuinely. Not because the cover requires it. Because the women in these communities deserve it regardless of why you're standing in their village with a clipboard. That surprises you. How much you mean it. You have spent 12 years not meaning things. Your liaison is a Thai DSI officer named Prey Song. Compact? Sardonic? 17 years in anti-trafficking enforcement, which means 17 years of watching the physical network get disrupted and rebuilt, like a tide that does not care about the shore. He meets you at a night market, eats noodles, doesn't look up. 3 visible layers: transportation, documentation, accommodation, all with legitimate cover. A trucking company, a visa processing agency, guest houses along the corridor. The financing, you say? Invisible, traced as far as a property vehicle in Singapore. After that, structures we can't open. Which embassies, you say? That, he says, is where my jurisdiction ends. You spend your first month in the communities. You listen. You document. You build trust the only way it gets built, slowly, by being present when it would be easier not to be. And you begin to see the shape of what moves through these places, not the network. The network is invisible by design, but its wake is not. Women who left for city jobs and didn't come back. Families who received money transfers from numbers now disconnected. A particular silence that falls over a room when certain questions get within reach of certain answers. The silence is the most eloquent thing you've encountered in 12 years of intelligence work. You file everything. You build the map. You don't yet know the map already exists above you. In a room you're not cleared to enter, built by people who've known the answer to your question for longer than you've been asking it. The asset finds you before you find her. Her name is Nok, 31 years old, bookkeeper for the visa processing agency, the documentation layer, the people who make disappearances look like paperwork. She comes to one of your community health surveys, sits in the back, says nothing. As the room empties, she presses a folded paper into your hand with the practiced casualness of someone who has been rehearsing this moment for a long time. A phone number, nothing else. You wait 3 days before calling. Not protocol? Instinct. A woman who has been waiting this long can wait 3 more days. A woman who can't is a liability. She can wait. Nok's grievance is not money, not ideology. It is simpler than both and heavier than either. Her younger sister left for a job in Bangkok 2 years ago. A real job, hotel administration, decent salary, legitimate sounding company. Nok helped her pack, stood at the bus station, waved. The number her sister used stopped working after 6 weeks. She still checks it every week. Nok has spent 2 years inside the documentation layer understanding, with increasing and irrevocable precision, exactly what that means, exactly where her sister went, exactly what the paperwork she processes every day actually processes. She couldn't leave. She had no proof, no contacts, no language for what she knew. So she built one. A physical ledger, handwritten, personal shorthand developed alone over 2 years. The kind of code a frightened woman invents when there is no one to help her carry what she knows. Names rendered as symbols, dates as sequences. Money flows as a private cartography of a geography that officially doesn't exist. You meet her 4 times over 6 weeks. Always public, always brief, always in the specific register of 2 women who have run into each other and have a few minutes. What she hands you across those 4 meetings dismantles 2 years of dead ends in 3 weeks. The Singapore vehicle feeds 3 operating companies, all Thailand registered, all clean on the surface. They receive service fees from the network's legitimate fronts: consulting, logistics coordination, administrative support. The documentation is meticulous, built to survive an audit. Built by someone who understands not just how to hide money, but how to make hidden money look like it has always deserved to exist. You know this quality of construction. You have seen it before, not in criminal enterprises, in entities that require long-term invisibility and have access to instruments that criminal enterprises can't reach. You sit with that recognition for a long time, then you follow it. Corporate formation documents leave shadows even when they're designed not to. Registered agent relationships, notary signatures, boilerplate language that travels with a law firm's templates the way a writer's voice travels across everything they touch. You know how to read the voice. It leads you to 7 additional holding structures: Singapore, Hong Kong, Delaware, a Pacific island nation whose entire incorporation framework exists for one purpose: to be unreadable. 3 of the 7 share a correspondent banking relationship with an institution you recognize immediately. It is not a commercial bank. It processes transactions for entities operating under diplomatic frameworks, organizations whose financial activity lives in a jurisdictional gray zone maintained deliberately by the people who benefit from its existence. You have seen this institution's name twice in 12 years. Both times it appeared in structures connected to entities that were officially strategic partners of your government. You sit very still. Then you pull Whiteline's own operational funding documentation, the budget framework, the financial instruments used to move task force funds through Thailand without triggering local reporting requirements. The correspondent bank is there too. Same institution, different account, same logic. The network isn't surviving despite the presence of government-linked financial infrastructure nearby. It is surviving because of it. You think about Knox Ledger, 2 years of handwritten entries in a private code, recording what her paperwork was actually doing, because there was no one to tell, and she needed to tell someone even if that someone was only paper. You think about her sister, the bus station, the wave. You think about the job offer that started it, hotel administration, decent salary, and the specific species of evil it takes to design something that looks exactly like hope. You open a secure channel to Strand. 4 words: "We need to talk." Her response comes in 11 minutes. 11 minutes is not refusal. It is a decision being made. Stand by. Strand calls 48 hours later, not through the secure channel, through a number you didn't know she had for you, on a line that exists outside every official record of this operation. That detail alone tells you the conversation you're about to have has no documentation, no cable, no timestamp in any system anyone will ever audit. "How far did you get?" she says. Far enough. The correspondent bank? The overlap with Whiteline's own funding? The same institution processing network revenue and task force operational budgets. Different accounts, same logic, same protection. Silence. Not the silence of surprise. The silence of a woman confirming something she already knew. The network, Strand says, provides cover for entities that give us intelligence cooperation we cannot replace, signals access, human assets, back-channel relationships that have taken 15 years to build. Dismantling the financing layer surfaces those relationships. Those relationships end, and the operations they support in 4 other countries go dark. You let that sit for a moment. So the calculus, you say, is that the intelligence value of the protection relationships outweighs. Nobody uses that word, Strand says quietly. What word? Outweighs. Nobody sits in a room and says that word. Then what word do they use? She doesn't answer. You think about a girl from a village 40 minutes north of Chiang Mai who packed a bag for a hotel job in Bangkok, who called her sister for 6 weeks and then stopped calling. Who is somewhere right now? If she is anywhere. In conditions that the task force's own intelligence files describe in language so clinical, it took you a week to understand what you were reading. You think about Nok processing that paperwork. Every day, with her own hands, giving those women numbers, filing those numbers. Going home at night to a ledger she kept in a code no one else could read because the knowledge had to live somewhere, and she was the only container available. You think about what Nok thought she was doing when she pressed that paper into your hand. She thought she was ending it. There are 400 to 600 people a year, you say, moving through this corridor, through infrastructure that our government's financial architecture is actively protecting, every year, while we run interdictions at the operational level and call it good faith engagement. The interdictions are real, the prosecutions are real, and the replacements are faster, you say. Because the financing layer that makes replacement possible is untouchable. We've built a system that arrests the water while protecting the pipe. Strand is quiet for a long time. When she speaks, the precision is gone. The careful language, the load-bearing words, all of it gone. What's left is the voice of a woman who has been carrying this specific weight for longer than this conversation. I know, she says. 2 words, the most honest thing said in this entire operation, the most useless. You meet Knock one final time. Tea shop near the old city wall. She is already there when you arrive, both hands around a cup, watching the door with the patience of someone who has learned that waiting is the primary texture of her life. You sit down. You tell her the findings were submitted, that prosecutions at the operational level will proceed, that her documentation, 2 years of handwritten entries in a private code, 2 years of recording the movement of human beings through a machine she operated from the inside, was essential to the case. She listens. Then she asks the only question that matters to her. Will they find her? You know what the case files say about women who reach the end of this corridor. You know the statistical reality of recovery. You know what distribution into regional and international markets means when the paperwork is translated back into human terms. Specific women, specific places, specific conditions that the intelligence community documents with the same flat professionalism it uses to document everything else, because the alternative is not being able to do the job at all. I don't know, you say. Knock nods. The nod of a woman absorbing an answer she already knew, but needed to hear out loud to stop hoping otherwise. She looks out the window. The ordinary afternoon, a city that has been hosting this industry for decades and learned long ago to arrange its surface so that tourists photograph its temples and call it beautiful. I kept the records for 2 years, she says. I thought if someone official had them. She stops. I thought it would mean something. It did mean something. It meant prosecutions of drivers and recruiters and mid-level coordinators whose replacements were already in position before the ink dried on the warrants. It meant nothing to the financing layer, nothing to the correspondent bank, nothing to the embassy attaché offices whose compliance work is handled by the same Bangkok law firm that built the legal architecture her sister was moved through. You don't tell her any of this. You tell her she was brave, that her records matter, that the work continues. Every word technically true. None of it what she needs. You fly home the next morning. Somewhere over the Andaman Sea, you watch the water below and think about the specific geography of this industry. The boats, the borders, the guest houses along the corridor. The paperwork that transforms a woman with a name into a transaction with a number. Knock's sister has a name. The file has a number. You carry what you found in a place with no official designation. Just the knowledge of exactly how this works, who profits, who is protected, who pays, and the complete inability to say it in any room where it could change anything. The system is not broken. That is the thing that will keep you awake for years. The system is not broken. It is working exactly as the people who built it intended. The arrests happen. The statistics are produced. The oversight committees are satisfied. The financing layer is protected. The network rebuilds. The corridor moves. And somewhere tonight, a woman who was promised a hotel job is trying to remember what her sister's voice sounded like. The network already has her replacement. It never stopped running for a single day.